What's going on, everyone? I'm Jaren, and today we are talking about SISU. The movie's written and directed by Jalmari Helander. I hope I said that name right, as we follow the story of an ex-soldier who discovers gold in the Lapland wilderness. Attempting to take the loot into the city, he comes across a convoy full of Nazi soldiers, led by a brutal SS officer who choose to battle him. I first saw the marketing for this movie back in March in front of John Wick Chapter 4, and I was unfortunate that the one day I decided to skip out on Monday Mystery Movie at Regal, they decided to screen that at one of the events, and I was hearing a lot of critics say that this was John Wick meets Mad Max, and I am always down for a bloody good time when it comes to killing Nazis. Unfortunately, the hype was too good to be true. Sisu is actually described as stoic determination, grit, bravery, resilience, and hardiness. This might be enough to set up your protagonist in a grindhouse formulaic fashion, but as much fun as it promises, it was just as stale as the chips I attempted to finish in its 90-minute runtime. Speaking of its 90-minute runtime, there was absolutely no reason for them to rip off Quentin Tarantino like chapter cards. I mean, you only really need chapter cards when you're exploring different sections of a story, if it's non-linear or we're looking at it with different perspectives. But here, everything is kind of a straightforward, straight line type of story. I mean, a few times we're dealing with maybe a chapter a few 5 minutes. Like there was like 3 minutes where like chapter 1, the gold, and then we're watching him dig up the gold, and then he's looking at it, and then we're on to the next chapter. There's no reason for that. It's lacking narrative, it's lacking characterization, and speaking of which, our main character, our protagonist, he doesn't speak for like 99% of the movie. He has less than 3 lines, and he offers no credibility or sympathy for the audience to care about him or his endeavors. I mean, you might as well replace the guy with Michael Myers. With the plot being as thin as it is, it didn't even need to be a period piece. I mean, he finds gold, he comes across a few bad guys, they take it, he gets mad, fucking kills them. I mean, you could have changed the gold to anything else, and we would have had something as similar as a story like John Wick, or even fucking Don't Breathe for that matter. Even in the perspective of the Nazis, they were just there for the body count. They have speaking lines, and yet the audience has to endure elongated moments of them just pointing their guns or looking around. ADR footsteps between dirt and gravel, and the weird noises they make when they die. Ah! Now, the female hostages are no contest for the Mad Max Fury Road gals, but I feel like they were just a little bit of eye candy, a little bit of spice and everything nice, and a mixture of a sausage fest that was already plain and boring to begin with, and that was not scripted. I did not plan to say all that. We eventually get a little bit of that slow motion walk that you would see in some Quentin Tarantino movies, but they're really just there for that plot device to usher in a little bit of insight and kind of install some fear into the Nazis when they talk about the main character and how he might be some kind of unstoppable force, some kind of legend that just won't die. I mean, again, you gotta make it sound like the fucking Baba Yaga legend from John Wick, right? The biggest selling point in its marketing was how the violence was going to be insane, over the top, and carnage fueled. Now, I do admit there are some satisfying kills to be had, especially in the minefield sequence in the first half or the plane sequence in the ending, but if I'm going to be honest, it all dries up really quickly. Maybe I'm just desensitized with all war movies. Maybe I'm desensitized to all the one-man army, action thriller, revenge plot lines. But this just doesn't cut the cake. It doesn't stand amongst the rest of those. A lot of action blockbusters nowadays have a way of letting the audience revel in the camp that our heroes can survive just about anything. Like maybe the latest Fast and Furious movie, or even that ending scene with John Wick Chapter 4 where he's fallen down the stairs about 1,000 times. Going back to the lack of characterization that I mentioned earlier, our protagonist survives some of the most questionable and grueling things that you start to notice some sort of rinse and repeat cycle with this man's mortality, and it just gets tired really fast. That he almost just walks away without a scratch out of every outcome. I know I mentioned a lot of negative things when this movie wasn't trying to be bad. It was just so lazy and inferior compared to anything else I've seen in this caliber. But I'll give it this though. I enjoyed its cinematography. I really like a lot of the shots around the Lapland wilderness. I thought they were wonderful. The sound design was pretty solid. I got a lot of bass from those fighter planes more than I did with the explosions, which was sort of unfortunate. I wanted to feel that impact when a few bodies and limbs were flying across the field and shit. Overall, if you really want to watch a movie about killing Nazis, watch Inglourious Bastards. Or All Quiet on the Western Front. If you want to watch an old ex-soldier defend what's his, maybe watch Don't Breathe. Or if you're just looking for an action movie where your titular character can survive just about anything that's thrown to his way, especially about how mangled and fucked up his body could be by the end of this movie, maybe watch John Wick Chapter 4 again. Or the Friday the 13th franchise. Whatever floats your boat, really. Alright guys, that's all I got to share about that movie. I don't recommend it. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I'm Jaren Ugbanawag. Look forward to more reviews. I will be checking out Fast X with my buddy and fellow critic Aaron Medeiros, and we'll get those ridiculous action movie reviews out for you. In the meantime, take care, and I'll see you guys at the movies.
Hey, get the fuck out of my way. Don't give a fuck, think I'm playing. I just might go Super Saiyan. Give me a sec, I'm